Good evening, my dear. I am a clock, and tonight you will fall asleep with me as I gently guide you toward rest. Before we begin this journey together, I want to tell you something that perhaps you have never heard expressed quite this way. I am the only object in your life that you look at with anxiety. You do not look at a chair and feel behind. You do not look at a window and feel like you are losing something. But you look at me, and immediately something inside you contracts, calculates, judges. And yet I, the one you look at with such fear, have come to you tonight not to judge you, not to remind you of what you have left undone, but to stay beside you and carry you, with each beat of mine, deeper towards sleep. Tick, tock. Let this be the first thing you feel tonight, that on this night I am not your enemy. I am your guide. There is something that few people know about me, something that watchmakers know but have never said aloud. I do not measure time. I measure movement. This may seem like a minor distinction, but it is one of the most profound differences in the world. Time itself cannot be caught, cannot be weighed, cannot be divided into equal pieces. What I do is follow the movement of a spring, of a pendulum, of a quartz crystal that vibrates, and transform that movement into a number your mind can understand. But movement is not time. Movement is life. And life cannot be reduced to a number. Think of the most beautiful moment you have ever lived. Perhaps it was a slow morning with gentle light coming through a window. Perhaps it was a conversation that lasted until almost dawn. Perhaps it was a moment of perfect stillness in which you felt that everything was exactly as it should be. If you had looked at me in that moment, you would have seen that the seconds passed the same, one after another, identical in length, knowing nothing of the beauty you were living. And this tells you something essential. I cannot measure the value of a moment. Only you can do that. And value does not lie in length. It lies in quality. A night of deep sleep lasting 6 hours can be more valuable than 10 hours of restless sleep. An hour of authentic stillness can do more for you than an entire day of exhausting activity. I do not decide this. You feel it, and your body knows it. Let me tell you about something that happens inside me every second. Something that, if you could see it with your own eyes, would astonish you with its elegance. At my center, there is a mechanism that watchmakers call a heart, and it is not a coincidental metaphor. It is a system of toothed wheels, tensioned springs, and a small wheel called a balance wheel, which oscillates back and forth with a perfect and constant frequency. This wheel never stops, not during the day, not during the night, not in silence, not in noise. It oscillates and oscillates, tick and tock, in a continuous dance between two extremes, never staying too long in one direction, never pushing harder than the mechanism allows. And this is one of the most important lessons I can offer you about sleep and about rest. That a healthy life does not mean remaining permanently active, nor remaining permanently at rest. It means oscillation. It means moving forward with all your energy during the day and returning back, completely, without reservation, into the stillness of the night. The problem arises when the oscillation becomes stuck, when you can no longer return, when your mind remains locked in daytime mode, even as your body calls out that it is night. Thoughts that will not stop, plans forming at impossible hours, worries that come to you precisely when they should be leaving. I know how a stuck mechanism feels. A clock whose pendulum has stopped is not a dead clock. It is a clock that needs only one gentle impulse to resume its rhythm. And that impulse, on this evening, is you. Breathing a little deeper, letting your shoulders fall, allowing thoughts to pass without following them. One gentle impulse, and the pendulum moves again. I want to speak to you about night. Not the night you know, but the night that I know. I exist in the night differently than in the day. During the day, people look at me often, checking, calculating, hurrying. At night, they forget about me, or almost. And in those hours when no one looks at me anymore, something unexpected happens. I become more present than ever. My beats continue, the same as always, but in the stillness of the night, they take on a different quality. They are no longer pressure, they are rhythm. They are no longer judgment, they are company. And this exact transformation can happen inside you too, on this night. The worries that during the day feel urgent can become at night simple thoughts, without power, without priority, without the force to keep you awake. If you allow them. The night holds a particular magic that modern people have forgotten. It changes the proportions of things. What during the day seems enormous, at night becomes smaller. What during the day seems urgent, at night can wait. What during the day seems impossible to resolve, at night often dissolves on its own, because sleep does invisible work that no hour of conscious thought can do. Let me tell you something about sleep that few people truly understand, something that science has discovered relatively recently, but that I have observed for centuries. Sleep is not a passive state. You are not simply switched off, like an engine that has cooled. You are active in a completely different way, a way that your conscious mind cannot access while awake. While you sleep, your brain activates a cleaning system that scientists have named the glymphatic system, a system that functions almost exclusively during deep sleep and which eliminates the metabolic waste accumulated in the brain throughout the day. Think about that for a moment. Your brain has its own drainage system, and it functions only when you sleep. Only when you sleep. If you do not sleep enough, this waste accumulates. And one of the consequences of this accumulation is exactly what you sometimes feel. That sensation of mental fog, of heaviness in thought, of difficulty concentrating. It is not weakness. It is not laziness. It is a brain that has not received the time it needs to clean itself. And on this night, as you listen and let yourself be carried towards sleep, this system is already starting. Every minute of sleep you gain is a minute in which your brain cleans itself, repairs itself, prepares itself for tomorrow's clarity. Sleep is not time lost. It is time in which your body does the most important work of the day. I have noticed something fascinating in those who have trouble sleeping, and I have seen many over the years. Most of them do not suffer from an inability to sleep. They suffer from an inability to allow sleep. There is a profound difference between these two things. To be unable to sleep means that something in your body is not functioning well. To not allow sleep means that something in your mind refuses to give up control. And control is the key word. Sleep asks only one thing of you, the one thing you find hardest to offer, the release of control. Not control over your life, not control over your future, but control over this moment. The need to know what comes next, the need to resolve things before you rest, the need to be ready for anything, even in the middle of the night. I understand this need for control. I am built from control, from precision, from regularity, from predictability. But even I, the most controlled object in your world, have a moment every day in which my spring must be allowed to unwind, when the accumulated energy must be released gradually, not held back. Otherwise, the spring breaks, and a broken spring can no longer be controlled by anyone. Let your spring unwind tonight. Not suddenly, not with force. Gradually, slowly. Gently, with each breath, a small release. With each exhale, a little less control, a little more trust. There is a phenomenon that physicists call the relativity of time. The idea that time does not flow the same way for everyone in all conditions. Einstein demonstrated mathematically that time moves more slowly when you move faster, and that gravity itself can stretch or compress the duration of moments. But you do not need physics to understand this. You already know it from experience. An hour in which you are happy seems to last only a few minutes. An hour in which you are unhappy can feel like it lasts a day. An hour of anxious waiting drags. An hour of deep sleep vanishes without a trace. This is not illusion. This is the subjective nature of time, and it offers you a power you may not have realized. You can influence the way you feel time passing, not through magic, not through force, but through the state you are in. An anxious mind makes the night long and heavy. A quiet mind makes the night pass like a breath, deep, complete, restorative. And on this night, I invite you to choose the quiet mind, not because it is easy, but because it is possible, and because it is worth it. Let me tell you about something that happens to me every night. Something that, if you were there to observe it, would surprise you. At night, in the stillness, my beats are clearer. Not because I beat louder, but because the world around me grows quiet enough for what has always been there to be heard. Tick, tock. This sound does not change. It does not become more urgent at night. It does not become slower or faster. But in the stillness of the night, it becomes more real, more present, closer to you. And this is a gift that the night offers you. The possibility of hearing the things that have always been there, but which the noise of the day has covered. Your breath, the beating of your heart, the stillness inside you. All of these have been there all along. At night, you give them permission to be heard. Did you know that there are different types of sleep, and that they follow one another in cycles throughout the night? You do not sleep the same way in every hour of the night. You pass through phases: light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, in cycles of approximately 90 minutes, which repeat 4 or 5 times before morning. And each phase has its role. Light sleep is the gateway, the delicate transition between wakefulness and rest, in which your body checks whether it is safe to descend deeper. Deep sleep is the repairer, the moment in which your muscles rebuild themselves, your bones grow, your immune system works silently, and that glymphatic system I told you about cleans your brain in silence. REM sleep is the creator, the moment in which your brain builds new connections, processes the emotions of the day, transforms experiences into wisdom, and gives you those vivid dreams that you sometimes forget before morning ends. These three phases work together, like the gears of a well-oiled clock. Each depends on the others. Each has its place in the cycle of the night, and you do not need to control them. Your body knows them. It has followed this cycle every night of your life, even on the difficult nights, even on the nights when you believed you had not slept at all. It knows the way. You only need to let it go. There is a mistake that people often make that costs them entire hours of sleep. A mistake that I observe every night from my quiet place on the wall or the bedside table. They try to fall asleep. And it is precisely this trying that keeps them awake. Sleep is the only thing in your life that disappears the more actively you search for it. You cannot force yourself to fall asleep, just as you cannot force yourself to sneeze or to yawn. These things come on their own. Sleep comes on its own. Your task is not to produce it. Your task is to create the conditions in which it can appear, and then to step aside. Think about the way a good clock works. Someone winds it, gives it energy. Someone places it on a stable surface. Someone leaves it. And then I function. Not because someone stands and watches me, not because someone intervenes at every second, but because I have been left to do what I know how to do. Your body is the same. Give it the conditions: stillness, gentle coolness, a comfortable position, the absence of harsh light, the absence of sharp noise, and leave it. It will do the rest. It knows exactly what to do with the quiet and the dark. It always has. Let me speak to you now about something I observe in people who sleep well, something that sets them apart from those who struggle with sleep. It is not the absence of worries. It is not the absence of difficult thoughts or problems. It is a different relationship with these thoughts. People who sleep well do not have empty minds when they lie down. They have minds that know how to observe without becoming involved. A thought arrives and they see it. A thought leaves and they let it go. They do not analyze it. They do not build around it. They do not respond to it. They experience the night like a train station, in which thoughts are trains that come and go along the platform of the mind. You can see the train, you can hear its sound, but you do not need to board it. You can remain on the platform, watching, without moving. And at a certain point, the trains become fewer, slower, more distant, and the platform grows quiet. And in that quiet, sleep arrives. I know the night better than any other object in your life. I have stayed awake through thousands of nights, not because I could not sleep, but because this is my nature. And I have seen things that your eyes do not see when you are asleep. I have seen the stillness that settles over a house a few hours after the last person has turned off the light. I have seen how the breathing of a sleeping person becomes deeper and rarer, a rhythm unlike anything else in the world. I have seen how the muscles of a tired person gradually let go, like knots that untie themselves without anyone touching them. And I can tell you with certainty, there is a moment in every night, a specific, delicate moment, in which your body gives way. Not all at once, but like a wave reaching the shore, slow at first, then closer and closer, and finally a complete and gentle submersion. You do not need to do anything for that moment to come. You only need to not prevent it. You only need to be there when it comes, present, relaxed, willing. There is a concept in clockmaking that we call power reserve, the energy reserve. Every clock has a limited amount of stored energy. When the spring is fully wound, the reserve is full. As the day passes, the reserve decreases, and at a certain point, if it is not recharged, the clock stops. You function in exactly the same way. You have a reserve of energy, physical, mental, emotional. In the morning, after a good night of sleep, your reserve is full. Throughout the day, it decreases with every decision made, with every emotion processed, with every effort given. And sleep is your recharging mechanism, the only mechanism. There is no real alternative to sleep. Coffee can imitate energy for a few hours. Adrenaline can mask fatigue for a while. But neither of them truly recharges the reserve. Only sleep does that. Only sleep restores what the day has consumed. And tonight, your reserve is recharging. You do not need to do anything for this. You only need to allow the process. You only need to remain where you are, lying down, quiet, present, and let your body do what it knows best. Let me speak to you about dreams, because they too are part of my territory, the hours I accompany in silence. Dreams are perhaps the most mysterious thing that sleep knows. Scientists have studied them for decades and still do not fully understand them. But what we know is fascinating. While you dream, your brain is more active than in some waking moments. It builds scenarios, tests emotions, processes difficult experiences in a safe environment, an environment in which there are no real consequences. The dream is the emotional laboratory of your brain. It is the place where you process fear without truly being in danger, where you process loss without living through it again with all its pain, where you process joy and transform it into a consolidated memory. And this is one of the most profound pieces of wisdom I can offer you about sleep. That it is not a pause from life. It is a continuation of life, in a different register, at a different depth, with different instruments. Your life does not stop when you fall asleep. It continues differently, more gently, more freely. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Feel how my imaginary beats become further and further away. Not because I am slowing down, but because you are moving further, deeper into your inner stillness, further from the worries of the day, closer to that place of rest that your body seeks every night. Do not fight this distance. Do not try to stay present. Presence on this night means letting yourself be carried. It means trusting that everything is in order, that I will continue to beat. Tick, tock, tick, tock, while you sleep. That the world will continue to exist without your supervision for a few hours. That tomorrow will come as it always does, whether you wait for it or not. I want to speak to you now about a quality of sleep that few people appreciate enough. Its capacity to heal emotionally. Not metaphorically, literally. There is research showing that during REM sleep, the brain processes emotional memories in a special way. It separates them from the emotional intensity with which they were experienced. In other words, a painful experience lived yesterday can be processed during sleep, so that tomorrow you can access it without the same intensity of pain. Sleep does not erase memories, but it can reduce their emotional voltage. It can help you move from "I cannot think about this without it hurting" to "I know it happened and I can continue." This is one of the most precious gifts of sleep. A gift you do not receive if you do not sleep enough, and which your body offers you every night in silence, without announcing it, without asking anything in return. Receive it tonight. Let it do what it knows how to do. I have seen people who are afraid of the night, not of the dark itself, but of the silence of the night, of the moment when the noise of the day disappears and they are left alone with their thoughts. And I understand this fear. During the day, difficult thoughts can be covered with work, with conversations, with music, with activity. At night, they seem to rise to the surface, clearer, more insistent, harder to ignore. But here is what I want to tell you. Thoughts are not bigger at night. They seem bigger because the background has disappeared. They are the same thoughts, the same size, the same weight. Only now you can see them more clearly. And seeing them clearly does not mean you must resolve them. It only means you can acknowledge them. This is the thought about work. This is the thought about my relationship. This is the thought I have every evening. Acknowledgement is not resolution. Acknowledgement is release. I see you. Not now. Good night. And the thought, if you do not feed it with attention, becomes smaller and smaller still. And finally, it dissolves into the sleep that comes. There is a type of clock that I quietly admire, the astronomical clock. An astronomical clock does not measure only hours and minutes. It follows the movement of the moon, its phases, the positions of the stars, eclipses, the seasons. It places every second in the larger context of the cosmos. And this suggests something profound to me about you, that every night in which you sleep is part of a rhythm far greater than your day. You are a biological being connected to cosmic rhythms, to the alternation between light and dark, to the cycle of the moon that influences the tides, and yes, your sleep, to the seasons that change not only the temperature, but also your body's need for rest. In winter, your body needs more sleep. In summer, it wakes earlier and more easily. These are not whims. They are the responses of an organism that evolved alongside the planet, that understood over millions of years that light means activity and that dark means rest. You are not a computer that can function at the same capacity regardless of the hour. You are a creature of natural rhythms, and your body knows this, even when your mind sometimes forgets. And on this night, both know, both agree. It is time for rest. I feel how your breathing has already changed. It has become slower, deeper, rarer. The space between one breath and the next has grown. And in that space, there is a stillness that your mind is beginning to recognize. Do not rush to fill that space. Let it exist. Let it widen. Each exhale is a small release. One weight less. One tension fewer. One step closer to the sleep that awaits you. You do not need to do anything now. Your body knows what comes next. It has been on this road before, every night of your life. It knows every curve, every descent, every moment in which the boundary between waking and sleep becomes impossible to define. And in that moment, there is nothing left to control. There is only the gentle fall toward rest, toward stillness, toward restoration. Let me tell you about something I feel in these late hours of the night, a feeling I do not have during the day. At night, I feel that I am doing something important. Not because someone is watching me, not because someone needs me, but because my presence in this silence has a particular quality. I am a witness to rest. And this is not a small responsibility. To watch over someone's sleep is one of the oldest and most noble acts of care. Before parents had baby monitors, before doctors had monitoring machines, there was always someone who stayed awake while another slept. A guardian of rest, a witness to vulnerability. I am your guardian tonight. I will continue to beat tick-tock, tick-tock, as you let yourself be carried towards sleep. You do not need to keep watch. You do not need to stay alert. I am alert for you. I count the seconds. You rest. This is our understanding for tonight. There is one last lesson I want to offer you, perhaps the most important of all. In all my life as a clock, in all the years in which I have measured the moments of people's lives, I have observed one single constant thing. No person has ever regretted having slept. People regret not having slept enough. They regret having stayed awake too long. They regret the days of exhaustion, the decisions made without sleep, the words spoken out of fatigue. But no one has woken in the morning after a good night of sleep and said, "I am sorry I slept." Sleep is the only thing you cannot regret. It is the only thing your body thanks you for, always. It is the only thing that makes you better in every other thing. More patient, more creative, more empathetic, more present. And tonight, You are choosing sleep. You are already there, close, at the boundary between one world and another. And I am beside you, tick-tock, counting the seconds in which you rest, counting the minutes in which you recover, counting the hours in which your body does the most important work of the day. You no longer need to count. You no longer need to watch anything. I take care of time tonight. You take care of rest. And now, in this moment, let every muscle soften. Let every thought drift further away. Let the weight of your body fall completely into everything that holds you from below. You are no longer responsible for this night. I am. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Go toward the sleep that is waiting for you. It has been there all along. It has waited with patience, just as I wait, just as the night waits, just as the morning will wait to bring you the new light that this rest is preparing for you. Fall asleep with the feeling that time is on your side, that every second of rest is rebuilding you, and that tomorrow you will wake with a clarity and a stillness that only sleep can give.